So I wanted to do another one of these because it's fun to kind of break up my own recording schedule and keep my editing skills tight. So welcome to Behind the Scenes to The List Declassified. This is going to be a video about the list of games that I've aggregated for my Retro Odyssey series. Firstly, the original list, which I have right here. The logic that went into constructing the current list, how that list has changed over time, and some edits that I've already made to it. And third, things that I'm going to be changing in the future about the list and kind of some things that I need to address. I've said this before, but Retro Odyssey was never intended to be an only Nintendo or only Famicom series, and it was supposed to cover everything. I wanted to go from Famicom to Master System to PC Engine to Genesis to Super Nintendo to PlayStation to Sega Saturn to N64, all the way up to Dreamcast if I could, and then even some stuff beyond. And the original idea was that it would be a weekly thing. I would upload a video a week, and I think that I was just unreasonable, but also just the way that I've wanted to do these has kind of changed as I've learned how to make videos. In a nutshell, I started focusing on making better videos as opposed to weekly videos, and then it's kind of ballooned into better videos instead of monthly videos, and just trying to make the best videos that I can. But got the original list here. And I've never shown this, but this is what I made for myself in 2018. This is my Famicom NES games draft of all the games that I wanted to play. It's kind of neat to look at it in its unorganized form like this. Starting with games like Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda, the must-play games, then moving on to like Excitebike, Ice Climber, the black box games, moving on to just big series like everyone knows Punch-Out!, everyone knows Contra, Fire Emblem. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, so I gotta throw those in there. The Final Fantasies, the Rockman games, RC Pro-Am, Rare Project, just like games that you've heard of, right? I wanted to kind of throw in everything that looked interesting to me and every series that I wanted to play, like from the beginning onward, that I didn't have experience with. Because like before this, I've never played a Final Fantasy. I had never beaten a Dragon Quest game. I had tried some of the games like Zelda, but I had not come close to beating any of these things. So it was kind of, for me, at first, just all the games that I wanted to kind of get through, and I wanted to document my experience. But the list has over 165 titles on it. That list does. And starting with Mario, I just kind of worked my way down through what I knew. But once I kind of expanded past the games that I knew, I started delving into like games that made it into people's top 10 lists, games that had interesting box art, games that are in hidden gems lists, games that people said online are must-play games that I had just never heard of, games like Bionic Commando. And I also settled on Famicom games as opposed to NES cartridges because they were more varied and they were cuter, and I thought that if I filmed those, it could potentially set my channel apart a little bit because people usually just have the NES games, they like to collect them, and I'm not a collector, and so just the Famicom stuff was more interesting to me. And since I'd be going off the first release date anyway, it seemed to just make more sense, since most games came out first in Japan, to do the Famicom versions. I'm really glad I did it too, because like in English, there are not a lot of videos of like showing off close-ups of these games and these manuals and these boxes. But once this list was done, I transferred everything to just a text file, and while I was at work at my old job, I just went through and I started manually pasting in the release dates and organizing the list based on release, and then kind of chunking it out into groups of 10 for like seasons. And I think I'll actually go ahead and get that list out so I can look at it while talking about it. All right, so this is a list, or at least a copy of the list that I've got right here. Scrolling through it, so I'll go ahead and like make a space, backspace, space back. That's just to help me sync it up so I know like where I am. Anyway, now some games have been skipped already. Clue Land, Devil World, and several others. And I also just accidentally missed some, and like I've been meaning to add back games like Wampum to the list. I know that's like a later release. I'll go ahead and do that now, actually. But like you can see here already the Season 1 games, like Excite Bike, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Super Mario Bros., Sky Destroyer, Bomberman, The Legend of Zelda, Dragon Quest, Bird Week, Ghosts and Goblins. And then Season 2, Goemon, Metroid, Adventure Island, Castlevania, King Kong 2, Kid Icarus, Layla, Hinotori, Dragon Buster, and Zelda 2. And then currently we're right here, and I've done these 3 so far: Dragon Quest 2, 3D World Runner, Rygar. Next is I Sent You Nicole, right here. Then we've got Getsu Fumaden. That one was actually added because it was recommended by a fan and I had missed it originally. Then Yume Kojo, Doki Doki Panic, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Salamander, Fazanadu, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and then Rockman. Actually, wait, no, Rockman's not in this because I added this. This is an older iteration of the list. Rockman's the first game for the next season. Okay. So, but looking forward, like Rockman, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, Guardian Legend, Contra, Dragon Quest 3, just banger after banger. RC Pro-Am, that's popular. It's not very appealing to me, like just surface level looking at it, but it's popular. Battle of Olympus, Demon Sword, Double Dragon, Bio Miracle, Bokute Upa. The reality is, though, I'm gonna have to start making more cuts if I'm realistically going to get through all of this. I feel like looking back at a game like Demon's Sword, for example, is this really a game that I need to cover? Like, I looked up a Queb's review of it recently. The game looks not bad. Or sorry. It looks very bad. It looks like it's not that much fun. And while I could spend a month of my life covering it, it seems like every time I do a video on a game that's kind of less popular, like Hinotori, Layla, King Kong 2, 3D World Runner, games that just people don't really know or care about, and probably, this is before I Sent You Nicole releases, but probably I Sent You Nicole, I don't expect it to do as well as Rygar. It just kind of like doesn't do a whole lot as far as like growing an audience. But it kind of also does, because where else can you get videos like detailing games like King Kong 2 and Layla and soon I Sent You Nicole, or even 3D World Runner? Where else are there videos that are like that in depth about them? I feel like there's definitely value in being the best video you can be on a game that no one really generally cares about, but they just don't get a lot of views. I think it's like, it's worth doing. I don't know. That's the thing. That's part of why I'm making this. I'm kind of at a crossroads here. I'm going to keep doing it, as much as I can. Like, after I get over this hump, like, I do feel like Doki Doki Panic has its fans. That could potentially do well. Castlevania 2, less popular. Life Force Salamander, that's a popular game. Fazanadu, pretty popular. Like, these are big. But next season, Rockman, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, Guardian Legend, that's a really like popular pick for a lot of people. Really say that's like a hidden gem. I'm excited to play that. But there's these games like Mother, for example, all the way down here. Like, I really want to play these games, and it kind of sucks having to wait in a weird way. Like it does kind of also emulate how I imagine it would feel to be a kid waiting to play certain games, like, reading about a game in Nintendo Power, and then like it's like I see these games coming up, Rockman 2, Goemon 2, because I like Goemon, that's really big. Like, it feels like I'm waiting for them to come out, but I'm just waiting for like myself to actually play the game and make these videos. So it kind of simulates that experience a little bit. But like, I'm probably going to cut Demon's Sword. And a lot of these games are like kind of avoid that issue, I think. But as we get later, like down here, like I'll have to check. I don't even remember this. Magical Taruru Tokun Fantastic World. Do I want to spend a month of my life making a video about that? Over Horizon. I think that was like, it had some, if I remember correctly, I think it was like a shooter that was kind of like 3D looking, and so it was kind of cool, but like, do I really need to spend a month of my life on that? Or like Samurai Pizza Cats, I definitely want to play. Doki Doki Yuenchi, I don't remember even what that is. Crisis Force. Now Metal Slater Glory, that's one I definitely want to still play. And Hebereke crazily got a sequel recently released by Sunsoft. That looks really good. I'm excited to play that. Chaos World, I think, is a JRPG. I don't remember all these. Banana Prince. Like, I'm remembering some of these do look cool. Blue Marlin, that was one that was recommended by, not directly to me, but recommended on one of those lists of like games that are underrated by G3 Gaming, Generation Gap Gaming. That was a good channel. It'd be cool if he came back. I don't know. Maybe I'm going on too long about this. Is this bad content? I don't know. I'm figuring it out. Another thing, quickly. The hair light I got is beneficial. I like that it kind of cuts me out, but being in this slightly bigger room, there's also an echo. I'm going to have to address that a little bit. Probably get like something just to put on the wall that's opposite of where I'm talking to kind of dampen the reverberations a little bit. But I'm also at a point where I believe I'm going to have to get 2 more lights. I think I need a new key light, which is a main light that shines on me. Currently, I've got 2 lights right here, and they're literally like, if you go to the edge of the frame, it's like they're just out of frame. They're cranked up all the way, and they can barely compete in this room because the slightly smaller room I was filming in before, I think the light just bounced off a little bit better or something. Or since this is also here, it was causing a lot less. I'm not able to light the backgrounds quite as well as I used to be able to because... And it kind of creates a bit more of a hot spot in like a vignetting effect, so it's a little darker. As another fellow YouTuber, The Crawl, pointed out to me, he actually kind of likes the vignette. But the problem is, when you have a vignette and you're exporting it, YouTube compression can create banding. So maybe where I'm going, there's like, you'll notice there's banding happening. And banding is when it's compressing the file and on the edges of gradients, you start to notice these kind of seemingly lines where there are hard color cutoffs, and I'm trying to avoid that as best as I can just for the evergreen nature of the videos to try and keep the quality up. But I was having a lot of issues with Rygar, and it's kind of taking a lot longer to set up the lights, so I might invest in 2 more lights. I feel bad about it. I'm talking way too much about this. That's not what this video is about. But getting back to the list, like, there's this... I'm definitely going to finish things exactly the way they are for the current season. But there's a part of me that's wondering, how can I incorporate Master System in and PC Engine in? Because as we're getting closer to 1988, potentially even the end of 1987, I think the PC Engine comes out in this time frame. And the Master System's already out. And like, my original idea was I was going to cover a whole system at a time, and then I was going to jump over, and then I was going to cover the next whole system. So Master System would be after that. But it might be at the point where maybe I do a mini Gaiden style series where I start covering what I've missed with the Master System. There are fewer impactful games, I believe, that warrant a cover. Like, warrant covering. That might be an ignorant statement, but it would just seem that there are fewer longer running series. I definitely want to play the Phantasy Star games, Golvelius, the Monster Boy, Monster World games, Wonder Boy games, and the backwards port of Sonic. Those are games that I definitely want to play for the Master System, but I'm not sure how much I can invest in like doing something at this scale. The Famicom feels like a very special system in that case. I don't know. Also, is it fun to just see it? To just see all these games kind of organized? Just a peek into the future? You know, look at this. Blaster Master, Wizards and Warriors, Bionic Commando, Blades of Steel. Blades of Steel, Super Dodgeball. Sports games are a little less interesting to me. I do like football, but I'm not a big fan of hockey. Famicom Wars. This seems like an interesting title. And then I've been wondering if I've done... If I've already covered Doki Doki Panic, do I cover Super Mario USA and give it the full treatment? That's a question. You know, I'm not sure. And technically Super Mario Bros. USA came out way later for the Famicom, and this is the release date, I believe, for Super Mario Bros. 2 in the West. Super Mario Bros. 3, I've already been thinking about the video for that one. Like, just the sheer scale of what I'd like to do. And Bubble Bobble and Ninja Gaiden. Final Fantasy 2. See, that's a game people won't care about as much, but it's important to me. Tetris. Like, what if I just skipped it? Tetris. I guess I can't. Rockman 2. Yeah. Clash at Demon Head's one of those games that seems like a pretty good pick to cover for the channel. River City Ransom, I'm excited. Holy Diver is supposed to be like a super hard version of Castlevania. I might skip it. I might not. Baseball Stars. I've just heard it's a good baseball game. Little Ninja Brothers. Bad Dudes, I think I've heard is not very good. And also, Double Dragon, that's right here. at the in the season after this current season. Is the NES port for that good, or is that like an arcade game? Like for some of these arcade ports, maybe the arcade one specifically, I can start to make cuts. But I really want to make it to those videos like, ooh, is Bucky O'Hare on here? I should probably, when did that come out? 1992. Wow. Okay, so I've still got some time. Like Adventure Island 4, that's one that's like way down here anyways. I'll also add with Wampum, Bucky O'Hare. I've heard that game was really good. Someone was mentioning Bucky O'Hare to me in the comments. Felix the Cat looks good. I'm really excited to play every Rockman. Just Breed seems like kind of a beefed up Fire Emblem a little bit. Joy Mecha Fight, I heard great things about that game. But like, yeah, Gimmick. I'm just beyond stoked to play Gimmick. And Metal Storm. That game is Jake the Snake's favorite NES game, I believe, or at least one of them. Panic Restaurant. That game's super expensive. Same with Little Samson. Good Lord, both of these next to each other. I'm gonna be bankrupt. Gargoyle's Quest. Yeah, that one looked really cool. A Boy and His Blob. I remember that was remade for the Wii, and that's what got me interested in that one. It's tough to think about making cuts. And maybe it's not cuts I need. Maybe I just need to be patient. Like, maybe it's okay if this takes a decade. You know? As long as I'm able to make other things as well, like in between, I think maybe that's fine. Maybe I need to stop worrying about it so much. There's this kind of issue where like it feels like the quality I try to improve as best as I can as I learn more with editing, and the quality of the lighting, the quality of everything. But I always have this kind of gnawing anxiety about like, am I gonna be able to make this next video as good as this previous one? You know, like is it always gonna get better and better? And then like, am I gonna reach a point where it starts to stress me out too much? Like this prospect of making a quote unquote perfect video or as good as I can get it. I don't think I'm close to that yet. And I think I remember seeing something at one point that was kind of like relieving on that. Some study, some random thing, but I kind of heard the premise of it and it was something that my gut agreed with. So that's why I'm bringing it up. It was like, it's good to have a varying level of quality to a degree. Like it's good if every single video you put out is not of equal quality, because like every now and then you get that banger, right? You get that really good one every now and then that really resonates with you and that like you feel excited and pumped up about. And so like I think it's okay like to kind of like push through it. And I'm still trying to hit those monthly goals. I'm not going to hit it for this one probably. I've been working a lot on this and another project on the side. And don't worry if you're worried that like making these kinds of talky talk videos are somehow delaying that. If anything, it's like it lowers my anxiety level for the next shoot, like the next filming. Like here I am, I've got my lights, I've set everything up, I'm warming up the juices again, getting it flowing. It kind of helps. I like this. I like the members. I like it way more than I thought I would. Memberships in general. I don't know. This has been a little disjointed. I had actually written a script for this. I didn't follow it at all. Let me see if there's anything I missed though. I don't think so. I think I pretty much covered it just in infinitely more words. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And if you have any comments on anything you saw here, or just the trajectory of the videos, or how you feel about the videos, or if you think you've liked the way that Retro Odyssey's been changing, because each episode is a little different. And I like that, and I hope that it kind of always stays that way. I hope that it's always varying a little bit while having that kind of consistent sort of thread of soul kind of piercing through the different episodes. I don't know. But feel free to let me know anything, your thoughts, questions, anything. Be happy to answer them. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video that drops. It's either going to be a Tears of the Kingdom video or I Senshi Nicole. They're probably going to release pretty close to each other. And maybe I'll have better lighting. Maybe. I don't know. Peace.